That's namhlanje ngizokutshela something abangeke ba-admit ku-red carpet. Some of Hollywood's biggest blockbusters are heavily inspired, if not downright stolen, from African cultures, African people, and even African stories, but without giving credit where it's due. Take Avatar, for example, the Blue People movie. Remember how they lived in harmony with nature, riding flying creatures, fighting off invaders who wanted their land and resources. Now look up the Dinka people of South Sudan. Their connection to the land, cattle, nature, their tall, lean physique, even face painting and ceremonial dances, all there. But instead of calling them Dinka, Hollywood painted them blue and gave them tails. James Cameron made Avatar billions at the box office, but how many people know about the Dinka tribe or the real-life resistance of African communities against colonial invaders? Nope, they gave us Navi instead. Next up, Lion King. You thought that was just a Disney original. It's basically a remix of ancient African philosophy of Ubuntu, the balance of life, the ancestors watching from the stars. Even the idea of circle of life and talking to ancestors is deeply rooted in African cosmology. Simba's story mirrors the lives of African princes like Ushaka Zulu, banished but only to return and reclaim the throne. But again, no mention Hakuna Matata, or is it Hakuna Matata? That's Swahili. Rafiki, the African Baboon shaman. But was there any African animation studio that was created? Nope, just another billion-dollar empire that was built from our stories. And then there's Black Panther. A win, right? Sort of, yes. It celebrated African aesthetics, from the Xhosa language to the Basotho blankets to Nigerian beadwork. But remember, Wakanda is fictional. We're still afraid to celebrate African kingdoms that really existed, like the Kush, the Benin, the Zulus, the Ndwandwes, the Dlaminis, Mapungubwe, or the Great Zimbabwe. Hollywood will show you a fictional African country full of vibranium, but never tell you that Congo really has coltan and gold being mined by kids while tech giants are making trillions. Think about that. And it doesn't stop there. Did you know that Thor's Heimdall, played by Idris Elba, is actually inspired by African guardian myths, but in Norse packaging? Or the story of Tarzan that came from colonial ideas of a white man being king in an African jungle, surrounded by black people who somehow couldn't survive it themselves. Even Star Wars took the desert-wearing, moisture-farming people of Tatooine from the Tuareg people of Sahara. But in Hollywood, our knowledge became exotic, our faces are erased, and our spirits are turned into characters they can sell. The point is not to cancel these movies, it's to wake up and realize how powerful our African stories are. They keep stealing because we are rich in culture, rich in imagination, and rich in history. But now we must tell our own stories, own our platforms, and make sure the world knows Africa is not your inspiration board, it's the origin.